Welcome to Athena and Truth's YouTube channel, where we provide tips and insights for you to live your best life. I am your host, Heidi Freilich. Hello, everyone. Hi, Robin.
Hi, Heidi.
Hi. We had such a overwhelming response last week when we were discussing some of the new things that you have coming having to do with Kundalini. And so we thought today it would be good to just go into a whole bunch of questions about Kundalini because people seem to be very interested in it, and we hope to answer everyone's questions about it. And then, if time permits, at the end, we do have a couple of viewer questions that we want to try to get answered as well. So, we'll get right started. Athena, the first question,
Yes.
why does the Kundalini rise?
Yes. The Kundalini rises. It is an evolutionary process or a thing that actually every human at one point of their experience as a human will encounter. Yes. So dependent upon all of the experiences that you've had and the lineages that you have will weigh up or be weighed in, let's use that term, on when your Kundalini will rise or awaken. It is why some people will have the Kundalini awaken without any personal stimulation that they are trying to do themselves at all. And others will be at it day and night and not be able to quite make it happen or get to the place or point that they want to get to with it. So what it is actually, your planet right now, the whole planet itself is rising in consciousness. And what does that mean? It is humans expanding in the understanding and belief that they are creators, that they are more powerful than they originally thought that they were, and that this idea of living in your three lower energy centers, where there is lack, there is fear, there is not, you don't have enough, you have to compete, enoughness, these types of emotions, all of these types of things. Quite honestly, a human is sick of feeling. And in order for them to feel something different and rise in their consciousness, this energy that is fueling actually those three lower centers, it is coming from the Kundalini, but it is not fully activated, or there's not enough energy leaking out into the system that can activate those upper centers. So when we tell a human how great life could be at the 5D reality or perception of the 5D reality, they can't really embody that or understand it when they're living in the first three chakra centers. They don't understand anything than that which they are viewing, that which they are feeling, that which they are seeing in form and the experience that they are in. And so it's quite different for them to understand that as your consciousness expands, what actually happens is things become available to you that are not available to you when you are in this lower level of perception, you see. So we would tell you that primarily throughout your history, there have been those that have awakened their Kundalini, but not in the numbers that you're going to see or are seeing presently, because the whole level of the vibration of the planet is rising. And as this level rises, the Kundalini life force energy is really what life is. It's what the universe is. So as this level begins to vibrate, or it starts to match or raise in its level of vibration more to the levels of non-physical, as you would put it in human terms, then this energy starts to get rattled or shook a little bit or ignited, and humans will start to experience it on the earth plane.
Okay. All right. Well, that's exciting that we're going to have a lot more people
Yes,
having this occurred, and it'll become more mainstream, more popular. So that's a good thing. What can someone who activates their Kundalini expect to experience?
Yes, it can be a bit different for all humans, this process, but there are a lot of markers or similarities along the way. There will be a lot of sexual stimulation because, in essence, the orgasmic feeling or the creation energy is very similar to the energy that, of one who is coupling or engaged in these types of activities. So it is not uncommon for them to have an uptick in that area and to even notice while they are meditating that they are sexually stimulated. Some are a little put off for this or upset by it, or it's just the conditioning of a human, we would tell you, and it's something that you should just let go of and not really worry too much about, but we are giving you the reason for that occurring. What will happen primarily is as the Kundalini gets stimulated through your focus, through your practice, or through even the activation of one who has already fully risen their Kundalini, and we're not talking about one that has a partial rising or even starting this process, even though the Kundalini can start to be on its ascent, until until it has made the full ascent and the connection to the top where the Shiva energy is, a transmission of this energy would not be possible by another human to a human, you see. But it is once this has occurred. So what we want to explain to you is that as you, as a human, encourage through your knowing, through your thoughts of rising this Kundalini, she will eventually start her ascent coming up. Now, some can be very dramatic, like the one Robin had, where it actually takes off. You are struck by lightning. You can hear the centers spinning. She felt each one of them being pierced as it made its way up. She actually experienced the Kundalini veering off to one side. Perhaps we'll get into that a little bit later and the reason for it. Yes. But eventually the Kundalini did come down the other way and evened out her system a few years later. So what happened during that time? Well, a lot happened. She actually experienced what we have talked about in prior recordings, a little bit of a dark night of the soul for a couple of years, where everything became very flat, very uninteresting, very not entertaining, lost the love of a lot of things, like going out to eat or buying something new, or it felt as though life wasn't really going to be as fun as it once was. Yes. So, but that is something that in time leveled out as she got the energy coming in down through the top of her crown. She finally had the full rising and the awakening process. And then a lot of these tumultuous times kind of faded away. But we would tell you during this process, there was for her, and it is different for every human because it depends on the lifetimes you've lived, the lineage agreements that you have, what it is that you are presently living or have lived in the life that you are in. All of these things are going to play an important role in what it is you will experience as you release the Kundalini energy. It'll be unique to you. Robin is laughing and saying, yeah, I probably had a lot of blockages or wasn't really ready for it completely. And the Kundalini just blew through her system. And we would tell you that a human isn't getting anything that they're not ready for. A human isn't getting anything just the way that they need to get it. This is the way it was meant to happen for her. Yes. And it will not be that way for everyone. She did have some blockages and there were some little painful points as she felt that energy rise through her. And then there was a lot of emotional upheaval, sometimes crying for days on time. She said, good thing her kids were gone to college and didn't really know what it was that she was going through. However, she didn't know herself what it was. But actually, it was just a purging of emotions or a cleaning out of the vessel that is her, you see. And so this went on for a period, a long period of time. At certain points in the time, she would get quite disturbed by it and from these emotional responses. And she was always reading about the Kundalini energy, studying, wondering what happened, what did it mean? It became this endeavor that was a constant desire for her to keep researching. And so every once in a while, she'd kind of get fed up and then say, I'm just going to stop all of it. I'm just going to quit for a while, put it away, and be a human. Yes, she'd want to go back to her regular life. And we would actually say that this was probably the smartest thing that she could have ever done, because this energy, we want you to understand, has a consciousness of its own, but you have a consciousness too, and you have a life to live and a body that you are living in that belongs to you. And although you have awakened the Kundalini, which is the soul aspect really of your human, that wants to express itself or use you to express itself. But you are the one that is in control of that. You have to be able to slow that energy down once in a while or direct it in a direction that you are wanting it to go. So we veered a little bit. Sorry, Heidi, off path. We veered like the Robins Kundalini veered. But what we were really trying to get you to understand that she is going through a cleaning process, and the way that this cleaning process will take place will be based upon what is stored within you and your lineage and what you are living presently, if that answers that question for you. There will be a lot of expelling emotion. There will be different bodily feelings that you will go through, such as lots of goosebumps now and then for some people. And we will talk about the further stages later. I am not sure that it's something that we should address now. The kriyas, the mudras, there are lots of other types of experiences that a human will have as this process continues. But in the early stages, when it is just starting, there will be a knowing that it has risen. Perhaps you will have the experience where you feel your centers get pierced. Don't be tricked into thinking that that is the end of the experience, that it's just the beginning. It has much work to do after that. We would say that even on the fast track, it could be in a process of 1 to 5 years, depending on what it is a human has stored within them. And then for Robin, it was a period of 25 years. She was doing it all by herself. She had no one for guidance. She didn't really know some of the things that she is now understanding about it, having gone through it. So we just want to put that out there as we move through these questions to give you some idea of what it is that you would be encountering on this path as you are on it.
Yeah, and what came to mind when you were explaining Robin's experience was um, I know that it happens when it's meant to happen, but is there cases where it's more gentle if the person has been working, clearing emotional traumas from their physical body already? Then does the Kundalini energy come through much gentler, or is it always just kind of however it wants to and
Yes.
really doesn't have?
Certainly, yes, this could be the process that a human would have an easy time of it. Many have felt a very warming feeling. It rises up without any of the puncturing feeling that Robin experienced. She would say it's not that bad. Don't worry, people, but there is a little bit of a painful poke or feeling as it punctured the centers. But one thing, Heidi, that is not determinable by the human is what is it that they have agreed to in the healing of the lineage that is theirs, or that because this is a big part or reason that one is raising their Kundalini to begin with. As you let this energy run through your system, and as it expels all of the emotions that are stored within you, it will also be expelling some of the lineage emotions that you have agreed to heal in the lifetime that you are in. And you will simply be expressing these emotions. It could come out as silent screaming. It could come out as shaking mudras, shaking your head, all different kinds of expressions of the Kundalini as it is going through these energetic deposits that a human has within themselves. So it is not entirely determinable by anyone, even you, what it is that you will actually be going through until you are actually in it. Once you pull the cork on that thing, it's out. The genie is out of the bottle. You can't put her back in, nor would you want to. We know that we have gotten many letters from humans that are in a very disturbed state, that have had their Kundalini awakening, and they claim that it has wrecked their lives and they're in a lot of misery. But we would tell you that once you surrender, and that's really what is needed in this process, is a surrendering to it, and you just allow yourself to feel what it is you are going through without responding to it or trying to contain it or in any way deny it. You will have a much easier time as this energy has its way with you.
Okay. And I guess I have a comment and maybe even a question somewhere in here. As I think we shared last week, that I was a guinea pig for you. You're not doing this mainstream yet. You hope to be at some point soon, but right now it's just kind of been a few close family members. And one of the things that I think I've asked, but I just wanted to ask again so the audience could hear the answer, is when you're not in a meditation state, after you're activated, do you have these sensations? Because I very much feel like I have sensations of things when I think about it, and it kind of makes me chuckle because I remember when the group first came, you thought you were never going to have any privacy because every time you thought about them, they were there.
Mhm.
And I kind of feel like it's a little bit the same with this for me. When I think about
Mhm.
that energy, I feel it in my body. And
Yes,
is that actually the case that when you think about it,
absolutely.
it's thought induced?
It is. It is a consciousness. We are a consciousness. We are not focused in a physical body, except for when we are using this once, yes.
Mhm.
But that Kundalini energy is, when it is set free, or it is starting to navigate through the energy centers, it is in you. And when you think about it, it responds to you. Yes, this is absolutely correct.
Okay, yeah. And so you said that once we have this out of the bottle, it's not going back.
Can
And
we interject one other important
yes,
aspect to what
yes,
you had asked in that prior question
yes.
that is coming through? So not only when you think about her, the Kundalini energy, you start responding to her, you will get thoughts from her. Go lay down. Yes, it is time to do your meditation. Take some time for me. Yes, you may
Okay.
think it's you, but it isn't. It is the energy communicating with you through you.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yes.
that's interesting.
Mhm.
Okay, so we can't put the genie back in the bottle. We have it out.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, people who have this occur in their life, they live life in more of a service related way.
Yes.
What does it look like then? Because I know on a previous recording you said that this isn't something that we need to achieve in every lifetime. Once we do, it's out
Mhm.
and we always have it. We always have access to it.
Mhm.
So are then potentially all of the future lives after the Kundalini, are they lives of service for
Mm.
most of the people who have awakened it?
If it is your desire to live another life after you have activated your Kundalini, you certainly can. You are the creator of any experience that you will have. So if you want to come here, say, as an activator, or you want to be some type of a teacher or a leader, certainly you can do that. But what we're referring to when we asked this question in the past, you're not going to start over at the bottom, relearning or retracing, yes, the steps that you took that brought you to the evolutionary place that you are now at. You see, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yes. Mhm.
So when someone has a partial rising, which you had, which Robin
Yes.
had,
Mhm.
why does this occur? Because obviously it must have been the time that,
Yeah.
her body wanted to have this occur.
Yes.
Why only the partial at that time? Was it that she had to have more time to process through things and that's why it only partly went?
Yes. It was her desire as a human to activate her Kundalini. She had great desire for it, and she was focused upon it. Make no mistake about it. So she was an influencer in this task. Or idea, yes. So we would tell you that one of the reasons that Robin's Kundalini in particular veered off is that it would give her a complete education or complete understanding of Kundalini energy and all of its aspects or things that could occur in its journey, you see. And so for her now being in the stage that she is in, where she is actually a teacher and becoming an activator of this energy, she knows full well what it feels like to have a partial rising, how a human can navigate it, what they can expect, how they will know that they have had it. Yes, she was very aware that she had had it by the emotional responses that she was having in her body for the period of 2 to 3 years after it occurred. She continued her practice off and on in trying to move the energy of her own accord with no help from anyone. Yes, just through her study and her reading. She is a self-learner. It's the way she's always been. And then eventually, as we said to you, the energy actually came down. It was not able to make its ascent upward. So it actually knew that her crown was open. So it came down that way and was able to penetrate the center that was blocked, which was primarily her heart. Yes, it was the heart area where it had veered off. So this is what we would tell you. This Kundalini is powerful. It is explosive. It has a wisdom and a knowledge that is beyond description of what it is doing. And it hit a block within her that it simply could not penetrate. So it veered off. This is what occurred. And then it creates kind of an imbalance because you have some centers that are vibrating at a pretty high rate. Then you have one that is blocked or closed. Yes. Then she had another at the top that was pretty open. And eventually it found its way down that way. That is how it resolved itself. But in essence, we want you to know that this Kundalini is an intelligent consciousness, and it knows exactly what it is doing, why it is doing it, how it's going to do it, and what is right for every human or each human that it is working itself through, you see.
Okay.
Yes.
So what kind of boundaries should we set in regard to this Kundalini consciousness?
Yes, she is persistent. Yes, Robin would tell you that when her quest started, when the Kundalini was stirring, even before it awakened, the thirst for wisdom and knowledge, just so all that are listening, is your Kundalini. Maybe you didn't know that. Many will think, I don't know why I got on the spiritual path. I don't know why I'm reading what I'm reading. I don't know what is going on with me, but I cannot get enough wisdom, enough knowledge, enough knowing. I cannot talk to enough people about it. I want to tell people about it. They are on this thirst or route, yes, to gain every bit of information that they can get. And this, unknowingly to them, is her stirring. She has not risen yet, but she is stirring you to the attention of, I am here, yes? And this is what drives you. And so as you begin the spiritual journey, as you begin your process of learning, you are trying to regain or uncover the wisdom and the knowledge that is already in there. It's already stored within the energy centers inside your body. It's packed up in there, it belongs to you, yes? So this is why we tell a human, don't ever do a practice you don't want to do. Do it because you love doing it. We're not saying you cannot follow practices or someone that you admire or that you brings you joy as you do it, but certainly don't follow anything that is not doing that for you. You see, follow your own path, pick up your own breadcrumbs because she will guide you. This is what is happening. So once that happens and a human gets on that spiritual path, all of the different practices you try, all of the different things that you are investigating, really what it's doing, it's just fueling your your desire, fueling your belief and your perception of who you really are. You're expanding in your consciousness. That's what's happening. You're starting to understand, oh, wow, I can feel these energy centers. I can understand that this is really real, that this is concrete, that this has really happened. And then if you're lucky enough, Robin says, to have your Kundalini actually explode, it's like this confirmation, this moment of feeling all of them take off, of hearing the noise, the sound, and having it confirmed for you once and for all that you're not aimlessly seeking something in the words that someone else has written. Now you've felt them in your own body. And this is what we mean about that wisdom and knowledge already being in there. Once it opens up, it all starts to flood in. And Robin can attest to this, because one of the things that happened that she was so surprised at when she became a channeler is all of her interest in studying and reading went away. Isn't that odd? She couldn't wait to read books. She couldn't wait to look at different courses, read everything that she could imagine that she could read. And all of a sudden, it was as though every answer that she was looking for was coming out of her own body, you see.
Mm-hmm. So does everyone, first off, does everyone go through what we call a dark night of the soul with the Kundalini experience? And another side question to that, I know we have our own things to deal with if we're having a dark night of the soul, but how does this affect our relationships with others when we're in this dark night of the soul?
Yes, there are many that we have spoken to that would prefer to skip the dark night of the soul. But we would tell you, if you have never been traumatized, if you have never had a negative experience that was stored in your body that you held on to, if you have never lived a past life or viewed a life in the lineage, or perhaps taken on something for the lineage, there would be no way that you could ever not pass through that dark night to some degree, because all of those things that are stored within the vessel are what are the cause or the underlying current that is causing you to feel the emotions. And that's what a dark night of the soul is really, is the darkness or what you would deem as a human as negativity that you are lodged in or stuck in your body. This is what would be coming out. So the degree, again, of what you will feel and for the length that you will feel it is not determinable. It is something that you personally will go through on the journey that is you based upon those things. You see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how do we deal with that if we're in close relationship with others and we're going
Yes.
through this experience?
Yes. We had another client ask us, she's a little afraid about raising her Kundalini, that perhaps some of the relationships that she is in would no longer stay. Yes. And we said to her, certainly this is a big thing that happens in a Kundalini rising, because your energy is rising. And if you are in interaction with those that are at a lower vibratory rate, you will not be in alignment with them or in the same type of conscious thinking that they are. So it's quite possible that some of those relationships would naturally start to fall away. You don't have to go out and start eliminating them. There can be this intention or this very natural falling away of some of these relationships. This is what generally happens. But we would tell you on a positive note, those relationships that are rich, those that are good and open and expansive will only get better, you see.
Okay. So my next question, I think you've partially answered, so I'm going to shift it a little bit. The question was going to be, can you explain why people are driven to have a Kundalini awakening? And I think we know the answer to that, because I think you mentioned that it's the Kundalini itself stirring in the body that creates this. But why do you suppose it's such a hot topic right now? Like,
Yes.
so many people are searching Kundalini and awakenings and so interested in the subject matter.
Yes. Well, first and foremost, we would like to address the first part of the question about, did you say why people would want to open this energy? Is this what the first part?
Why people are so driven to have
Yes.
Kundalini
Yes.
experience.
Yes. There are a couple of things that drive a human to want to have it. There is the actual aspirant, or the one that is wanting to be in service, who in their innocence really and in their purity really wants this energy activated so that they may use it for the benefit of others and to rise humanity. This is what it was intended for. But there are also, there should be an understanding in some humans that one can develop what we would deem as egoic spiritual aspect in oneself, where they think that they will somehow be set apart from others, that they will be worshipped, that they will be on a pedestal, that they will be able to do acts that are indescribable, that would be make people be in amazement of them. Yes. And so you can understand the direction that we are going. And the Kundalini energy will react to the aspirant. It will indeed activate even through the desire, if it is strong enough for either one of these possibilities. Yes, we have made the statement, and in behalf of Robin, that when we do start to do activations, and we are not doing them yet, yes, we will very much only do them where we are called to do them. And this means we would do the first rather than the latter in what we just described. Yes, we have no interest in activating anyone who is not wanting to be in service or use the energy for that which it was intended for. You see, the odd part about it is that once the energy gets activated in the first that we talked about, they don't have a desire at all to be noticed for it, or they are very humble. They are knowing that it is not them, that they are simply a vessel that is provided. They are doing the job that they agreed to do in the healing work that they are doing. And so they in no way want to take credit for or a position of being in any more power than anyone else, you see. So I hope that answers your question, Heidi. Now, we didn't explain, as we do sometimes in recordings. We really would appreciate questions in small parts, because if they are given in detail in many parts, then we must call to Robin's consciousness to hold the amount of the question that you are asking, and it is difficult for her to stay out of the transmission. So that is why we had to re-ask what that first part of the question is. So if you wouldn't mind giving us now the second part of the question, we'll respond to that. Yes?
Yes, the second part of that question was, why is there so much interest in the Kundalini experience and awakenings? It seems like it's such a hot topic everywhere you search these days.
So this, again, is twofold, and compare it to what we just gave you prior to this. The first one knows that this would be an expansive tool that they could use to assist others in their evolutionary process. And so it is their desire to do so for that reason. And the second, we would tell you, is one thing that we would like to bring up that is important fact for humans to know, is that when this Kundalini becomes activated in a human, the higher that it rises and the more connected you become to the higher levels of consciousness, your manifestation speeds up. So your ability to create by thought becomes very immediate, very quick, you see. And so if you are one that is desiring it for the wrong reasons, and you haven't done the spiritual work on yourself on the correct reason to want it or why you want it, yes, you could manifest some things unknowingly very quickly into your experience that are perhaps not to your liking, you see. So it's very important that people understand the real power and influence that this energy has. In the wrong person, it can be a detriment, really, because what it provides to a person is a magnetism. This is a good term or word that we would use for it. And so one of the reasons that our group is actually expanding to the degree and rate that it is this energy has a very attractive quality to it. It has a magnetism. And so those that are drawn to it or to follow it are attracted to it. Yes. And so what happens is, if the aspirant is a person who is easily flattered, if attention is something that they are seeking or looking for, they could use this energy in a negative way, because people would be falling at their feet or coming around them, yes, wanting to be by them, because the energy will still react as the energy, whether the person's intent is in fact pure or not, you see. And so this is a very important thing to know about this energy, and it is why when we begin this process of doing activations, it's going to be a very thoughtful one, and one that is done in purity or humbleness. Yes? Did that answer that part of the question, Heidi?
Did. Yes. And can you let us know what Kriyas are and the role they play in awakening your Kundalini?
Yes. Kriyas are actually the body's response to the energy penetrating through the energy centers and now reaching out into the nadis, or all of the little avenues of the energy in the humanistic body. Yes. And so as it experiences held perceptions, beliefs, believe it or not, a human doesn't realize that what it is that you actually harbor or hold has a form. It is actually a deposit or a thought form, as you have heard it described before. So this energy actually will work itself through its centers, through the nadis, and as it encounters these thought forms or these held perceptions or things that are preventing you from your wholeness or from her purifying your system, let's just use that term, there will be shakes. Yes. Robin gets lots of head motions. Yes. Lots of shoulder shaking. She said she's not ready to out herself publicly that much, but some of the contortions or physical responses that she gets are downright laughable, she would say. Yes. She can get on her hands and knees, be moving in all different directions.
Yeah.
Sometimes it will be yogic moves. Sometimes there will be silent screaming. There will be lots of facial expressions. They can pull your eye this way, your mouth this way. Yes. So there are lots of different expression forms that she will use as she was running the energy through your system. But basically, it is a shaking off or a shedding of things that are needed to clear your system.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. I was kind of chuckling to myself when you were saying that Robin would be embarrassed by some of the stuff that goes on, because I would very much agree with that statement, with the way my meditations have been since the group has worked on me. It is something that you would be embarrassed at times to have someone in the room with you. So I completely understand that part of it.
Yes.
What could, assuming you're somebody who is in this for the right reasons and you are a humble person and you want this for your experience,
Yeah.
what could you expect when your Kundalini has fully risen, did all of its work that it needs to do? What kind of a life or what kind of new things would your human experience having that be part of them now?
Yes. Robin would tell you that what she has recently discovered now that her Kundalini energy has reached the crown. Yes. It's been a long time coming, she's saying. It is a different feeling than us, the group. She is well knowing that what you have privy to or access to is this higher expanded version of yourself. So as she feels the feeling or thinks about going and sitting for a little while and allowing the Kriyas to do their work, when she enters her room, she immediately feels this lift in her vibration, this happiness, this ecstatic elevation of herself in that level of consciousness. And she feels herself as Robin and thinks, this is who I am. Now I can feel the love of self fully. Now I can understand what it is that the group has been saying. You see, she leaves her human temporarily behind, really, and then becomes this expanded version of herself during the time that this has happened. We would tell you that as this process continues, it does continue for quite a length of time. You will become more and more in union with that high part of yourself, and your human will be more and more a reflection of that, because you're surrendering to it. You are really this is what you really wanted as a human, and it's really what's bringing the experience to you. So that expanded version of yourself that feels so wonderful when you start to encounter it is actually carrying all of the desires of every life you've ever lived, of your lineage and of yourself and the life that you are in. It's bringing that to you, and you actually can feel yourself as that expanded version of yourself, if that would make a clear description to you, Heidi.
Yes, thank you.
We want to make a delineation about something because, of course, we are not advocates of any form of judgment or negativity. Yes, we are not in judgment of those that are that we have mentioned that could perhaps want the Kundalini for an egoic state. We would like to make the statement that very often it is unconscious. It is not something that they are consciously aware of, or that they are in any way trying to do something detrimentally to another human. Yes, excuse us. So it's important to make this statement that certainly any human has a right to call to themselves anything that they are wanting, and that is inclusion of their Kundalini, you see. But Robin, in fact, has called to herself through the view of her life experience that what she would like to experience in the group with the people she is interacting with. And so we didn't want it to sound as though we are excluding certain people for certain reasons. We are including people for certain reasons. Yes?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So we have some people that might have interest in Kundalini and would like to have that experience, and for whatever reasons, they don't achieve it. Can you give us some idea why they would not be able to achieve it if they were trying to?
Yes. A human must hold a great desire to do so. They must have a belief or a perception of that belief that they believe that it is so, that it exists, that it is possible. They must have some awareness of their energy centers and be able to somewhat feel them or have a recognition of them. Yes, an understanding of the system that is in them. Yes. So, did you say something, Heidi?
Nope. I was
Yeah.
just waiting for the rest of your answer.
Yes. So we think that pretty much answers your question, unless you would launch it in a little bit more depth than that.
Nope, I think that's good. So we were talking about that Robin's Kundalini has now made its full ascent. So what occurs when the Shakti female Kundalini energy reaches the crown center?
Mhm,
Um, if the Shiva male with the Shiva male energy and completes the mission to unite as one.
mhm. Uh, uh, your soul becomes united fully with your human. This is the goal, you see.
Mhm, mhm.
And does that mean the human will never feel again any negativity? Does not. But it means that the human will begin to achieve mastery. The human will begin to be able to separate itself from the human emotion and pick and feel how it wants to choose, how it is choosing. Yes, this is what will occur. And one will become very masterful about the kind of energy that they emanate because they will know that it is being returned on. So there will be this great alignment or this understanding that the only reason that you are having an emotion, whether it is negative or positive, is so that you may gain a preference surrounding that thing that you are encountering. And then you will immediately go to the preference. You will go to the high thing, the good feeling that you really want by the experience you're having. If you're really sad, you want to be happy. If you're really lonely, you would like to have company. If you really have no money, you would like to have more money. How would that make you feel? It would make you feel free. You see, this is what a human really wants when they say they want more money. They want freedom, in essence, is what they want. So basically, what will happen is you will become very actualized, very aware of what your emotions mean, and you will be very precise in picking how you respond to them. You will stay in them less and less longer when they don't feel good, and you will choose to move to higher levels of perception to make yourself feel better. You'll automatically do this, and there will be this this wonderful Robin doesn't know how to explain it other than it just feels like an elevation. It's an elevated feeling that one has when they are locked in or united. So she said she would never want to, in this moment or any other moment, lead a human to believe that they are not human or that somehow she is now not experiencing emotion or setbacks or even negative thoughts. She is, yes. But she has said she is noticing that the gift that is there for everyone, by the way, and that is being offered to her is her ability to choose is becoming easier and easier, you see.
Mhm.
Yes.
So, when you have blocked energy centers, which we do from time to time, sometimes I'm under the assumption, I think we've discussed this before, that
Yeah.
they can open and close based on what's going on in our life. Are these energy centers more apt to stay open after a Kundalini experience, or are they still closing and opening as they were before it?
Uh, there is still going to be some fluctuation in those energy centers. They are not going to constantly always remain fully open. You will have an experience and you can have a constriction or something that runs through your system. But primarily what's causing the biggest setbacks or problems for humans are really held strong emotional responses to situations that they are not able to let go of, that perhaps they've hung on to for years and years. The daily ones that you experience that maybe you're mad for an hour or two or whatever, those generally will pass through the human and not be lodged permanently. But what one wants to look for within the centers or is in their own knowing of these markers or these big experiences that happened in their life which they were quite traumatic or damaging or emotional emotionally charged for them. Those are the ones that can tend to be lodged in the center and cause it to become very heavy, very laden, very unable to rotate. And a human that has clogged energy centers can have a predisposal to different illnesses, because these are a circulatory system. When it gets shut down, this is what's circulating or moving all of the energy to all of the other organs and things within the body. So it is a very healthy practice to run through these things, to sense and know or feel whether they are open or closed. And then for you to also be aware of what it is that you are hanging on to. What experience have you had that you can't let go of? Because oftentimes these will be found in the centers.
Yeah. And then the final thought that I just wanted to share with everyone, because I know one of the viewers that watched, I don't know if it was your Next Level Soul interview for was our last YouTube, they wanted to know how you activated your Kundalini. And of course, we did share that information.
Yes.
But we just want everyone to know that you have to do what resonates with you. And the practice that works for you might be completely different than the practice that works for Robin. So just trust yourself and do what feels right and natural to you.
Absolutely. There is nothing wrong with dabbling on the path of others, but dabble where you feel good, dabble where it feels connected to you and enjoyable for you to do, and that you get the thumbs up from inside of yourself that says, this feels good, this feels like the right path for me, this feels like something I should pursue or continue down this road. That is the description. As Robin said, she has given it in past recordings that she did use a book called Ancient Teachings for Beginners. For her, she loved it. There were a lot of practices in there for this type of awakening to occur. But that doesn't mean that it would resonate with everyone. All of these things are tools that a human uses to achieve the desire to make it more believable, perceivable. And really just reading that book and just doing those practices, just adding to your perception and your belief, which is actually the thing that causes this experience to occur, you see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a few minutes left. So I just have two viewer questions that I'd like to pop on. One is from last week. We had someone who gave a testimonial, and I had a question. I just didn't have it in front of me. So I'd like to give you that one right now. He would like an explanation of how it became that people believed that God was separate from man, knowing versus the not knowing. Was this intentional to let the human go out and play on their own? Or is this something that we as humans created this separation feeling?
Yes. Everything that is ever created is created, you see.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a human came to the earth plane to express itself in its free will, the desire to do that was greater than the desire to know itself, you see.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that endeavor of using the free will, of going out into the Wild West, as you would call it, into this 3D reality in this place, this moving away, this expression of one's free will and the forgetfulness of where the soul actually comes from, or your original source, yes, allowed for this free will to really be experienced or to grow, yes. And then it's like everything, Heidi. It's like a pendulum. It's like it goes one way and then it comes back the other way, yes. And so you moved so far away that then there became a desire to become closer, to regain that which you have given up or lost in that separation of the free will that you have, you see.
Okay.
And we realize that we are not sure if this would completely depict it to a human to the level of understanding that they are looking for. But there is simply nothing that you desire, that you have a great desire for, that is not created in the reality that you are living in or any other reality. And normally, the large focus or the large charge of energy that goes in that direction will create to the point where something else then is desired in its opposite direction, you see. And then back you go. And then the rediscovery of self and the whole evolutionary process of returning back to your wholeness. And that's really what is occurring in the awakening of the Kundalini and in the releasing of all of the trauma and all of the held emotion from lineages and this life and past lives. The releasing of all that energy is what returns you back to the wholeness, to the beginning of how you originated. See.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope that that will be an answer that would satisfy him. It is difficult sometimes to satisfy a human to a level that they are looking for that resonates with them, but we hope that this will. Yes?
Yes, thank you. And one final question is regarding Dharma and Karma. While karma is nothing but cause and effect, how does one evaluate for complex effects what exactly are the causes so that one can work accordingly? Also, how does one evaluate what is one's Dharma at any given moment, since the miscalculation of that can lead to a very dire consequence, not just for a person, but for the world?
What would your description of Dharma be?
Well, I don't know what this gentleman or lady's definition of it is. They don't specify that in the question.
Give us the definition of Dharma.
All right. Let's see here. The dictionary definition is in Hinduism, Dharma is a religious and moral law governing individual conduct and is one of the four ends of life.
So it is condemnation and judgment.
Mm-hmm.
That is a Dharma. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
How it is that you are behaving as a human in the life you are living, and how it is you will be reacted to,
Right.
based upon morality or what the church or Hinduism or any church holds
Mm-hmm.
as proper punishment or treatment. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we would tell you that there is in our minds that all that exists is karma, cause and effect, and that you are the one that punishes yourself in your own suffering in the way that you think and feel about what it is that you are doing or agreeing to doing. Yes. So certainly a human feels really good and in alignment when they are behaving in ways that is deemed by these religious leaders or churches or Hinduism or any other religion. Yes, there is a certain amount of alignment, but is there alignment because they believe it is so, or is there alignment because it is so? See, and we would say everything is so because you believe it is so, if that answers that question. And we think it does.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if our listener feels that the question isn't answered quite the way they want, they can always reach back out and
here's what's going to
add
happen.
on to the
Just to add a
question.
little bit to answer to that question. Yes. So in essence, a human wants to know, even if one does things that are deemed as not moral or not right, then are they at least going to be punished by some hierarchy at the end of that term, that life? Yes. And what we would tell you is that a human is creating the next life in the present life that they are reacting to in the way that they perceive and believe and respond as they are living it. They are the creator of it. And so make no mistake about it, every life that they will get and that they will come into, they will continue to respond or react to or regurgitate experiences and circumstances and situations that are going to be playing out the cause and effect of the lives that they have lived. So there's never any worry that they're not going to get, quote unquote, what a human thinks that they should get as far as suffering or understanding, because it may take a while, it may take a number of lifetimes, but eventually they will reach a point or place where they come to that conclusion on their own. And there is no hierarchy or nobody that's going to do that for them. They, through their own life experiences and through their own suffering, will come to their knees by themselves. There is never anyone over you, above you, better than you, or that should be in judgment or condemnation of you. There's only you living out your life experiences and your reactions and your feelings to them. And then you will have other lives coming. And you will eventually, through the purity that you all are, that you all come from one thing, that you are all that God source, all of you eventually will return. But you will go through this process of living out your causes, your effects, your suffering until you obtain mastery.
Mm-hmm.
I think that answers the question.
I think it does too. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for joining us again today. You can always email me with comments or questions at heidi@athenaintruth.com. And we'll look forward to seeing everyone again next week.
Thanks, Heidi. Appreciate it.
Thank you.